Hello there, this is Rahul, and today we're going to talk about the Zero Trust Network setup. So Zero Trust Network setup is really important when you're working in a corporate network and as well as when you're working in your home network where you have your multiple devices at home. For example, your laptop, your iPad, your mobile. And you want to trust each and every incoming request trying to access whether your home network or your corporate network. So the idea is really simple over here. So here is our corporate network, and inside the corporate network, we are having a data center. There is a user which is sitting inside our corporate network, and there is one more user which is sitting outside of our corporate network. But if we are using the zero trust network concept, then we don't want to trust both the user unless and until both user are into our trusted list. So once we have added both the user, the corporate network user, which is internal user, as well as external user into our trusted list, then we will allow that incoming request to access the resources into our data center. So here you can see this is the request from our corporate user and this is the request coming in from our external user. And both the requests we need to entertain when both the user are into our trusted list. Once this trust relationship is established, then that user's request will be entertained by our data center. Let's take a interesting use case where I can show you how I have set up the zero trust network for my own devices. So here I have my laptop which will be able to communicate with my iPad, with my iPhone, but I also use the cloud services, for example, AWS, GCP, and Azure. So I want to set up a zero trust network setup in a way that my request doesn't traverse through internet. And I'm able to access all of these services which are running onto the cloud via local area network. And for that, I'm just going to use a tool called Twingate. Let's simplify this whole setup, and for this setup I'll be using my laptop along with my iPad along with my iPhone, and then I will be using the cloud service provider which is our AWS. The same instructions or concepts can be followed for other cloud service provider, for example GCP as well as Azure. And this zero trust network setup from Twingate is not only applicable for cloud services, but you can even do it for your on-premise data center as well. So that's also an advantage you will get when you'll start using the Twingate. So it is not only limited to the cloud service providers, but you can also set up this zero trust network for your on-premise networks as well. Let's take a look how our resources will be deployed to achieve the zero trust network. So for that, on the right hand side, you can see our AWS where we have our virtual data center where we already have a VPC and subnet. And on the left hand side, we are having our own machine, or which is my personal laptop. So from where I need to achieve this connectivity towards my cloud. So what Twingate offers is Twingate offers you a certain instructions through which you can deploy your connector. So let's see how this will work. So from the laptop, I will just issue or execute some instructions, and those instructions will deploy a connector onto my AWS account. Before we go into the technical implementation, it's important for you to show you like how you can sign up for a Twingate. So this is the home page of your Twingate. I'll post a link into the description section, and here you need to click on the sign in over here. And here you just need to create your Twingate network. So on the sign in page at the bottom, you will find a URL new to Twingate. So click on create a new Twingate network. And here you need to enter your email which you will be using for creating your Twingate network. So here, for example, I'm just going to use this email ID. I'm just showing you because I have already registered my account, but this is the instructions which you need to follow for sign up. So here I'm just going to use my home network because I just want to connect my own devices. So I'll just click on get started and I'll just select home lab. And yeah, you just need to fill in all those details, and I'll just put others and continue. And here you can see finalize your network. So I'm just not gonna go forward because my account already exists, but this is how you're just gonna set up your Twingate sign up. And once you are gonna sign up for your Twingate, then you're just gonna get a URL which looks like something this, which will starts with your sign up username. After that, you will get a twingate.com, which will be your URL, which we need to use for connecting and installing your client as well as connector. The next thing is about the pricing, whether Twingate charges for their services which we are planning to use for Zero Trust Network. So the answer is no. If you are limited to the 5 user, then it is free to use. But if you have a requirement where you have a more than 100 user or thousands user, then I would recommend to reach out to them and use their custom plan for larger audiences. But for a home setup like which I'm trying to do, it is free to use and it is really convenient for me to use the Twingate to set up this kind of a connectivity. Alright, so now I am assuming that you have already signed up for your Twingate account and you already got a URL for signing in into your Twingate account. So here I will just click on sign in link over here, and here I need to enter the Twingate URL. So I'm just going to enter the name of my URL and then click on continue over here. And after that, it is going to authenticate. So I'm just going to use my Google account to authenticate. If you have other services like Microsoft, GitHub or LinkedIn, then you can also use those for authentication. So let's go ahead and click on Google Authenticate. I'm just going to use my account over here and then click on continue. And here you can see this is the default page of my Twingate account. And here you can see I need to create some network component, which we will talk like a network connectors and resources. But this is how our dashboard will look like. Alright, so now take a look onto the AWS side, how our setup will look onto the AWS side. We have already signed up for Twingate. Now let's try to take a look onto the settings of our AWS virtual data center. So here I'll just jump to my home console of my AWS account. So I'm assuming that if you're using any other cloud service provider, for example, AWS, if you're using, then you just you have those account already with you. So here I'm into the London region. So just choose whatever region which is nearest to you. And after that, the thing which I'm looking for over here is the VPC, because that is our virtual private data center. So here I will just go over here into the VPC and I will just click on the link of VPC. And here you can see this is the VPC which I have with me. So the information which we need from here is the VPC as well as the subnets, because that's where our resources or the connectors from Twingate are getting deployed. So these are the information which is needed for us to get started with the Twingate. So I'll just make a note of this particular subnet which is present over here, and I'll just go back to my Twingate account. Okay, so here the first thing is you need to create your remote network. So now we know, if you take a look onto the diagram, so we have seen the AWS account, we have seen what are the things which we need, and also we have our Twingate account ready. So now we need to set up our Twingate network, or which we call it as a remote network. So here onto the dashboard, you can see this is our URL for our Twingate account, and this is our add remote network. So here just click on add remote network over here, and here in the drop down you will find various options. So as I told you, like there are various cloud service provider, which is AWS, Azure and Google Cloud, and also it supports on-premise data centers as well. But for this demo, I'm just going to choose AWS, and here I need to enter the name. So I'm just going to put EU London 1, and I'm just going to put network. Click on add remote network over here. And here you can see our network has been created, which you can see over here. So click on this remote networks over here, and this is the network which is ready for us. But the status is red over here, so we need to make this status green and make the connector deployed onto our AWS account. Okay, so here click on this network over here, and here you will see an option for a deploy connector. So if you take a look onto the diagram over here, so this is the connector which I'm talking about, and we need to fetch this instruction to deploy our connector. So go back to the dashboard of our Twingate and click on deploy connector over here, and here we need to choose the option. So there are various options through which you can deploy your connector. So I'm just going to choose the simplest option, and I'm just going to choose the AWS AMI. So here you will get certain instructions which you need to execute from your local machine. Okay, so click on this AWS AMI, and here you need to first generate the access token and the refresh token. So these are something local which is necessary for Twingate connector. So I'll just click on this generate tokens over here, click on authenticate, and it will again authenticate from your account, so which is our Google account through which we have created our Twingate account. So I'm just going to select the same one and click on continue. And once you authenticate it, then you will get the access token and the refresh token, which is necessary for your connector. All right, now the important thing. So here we need to choose the AWS region. So I have already told you I'm into the EU West 2, which is our London region. So I need to use the same region over here. So in the drop down, you will find the option, and I'll just go further down. I think this is the one, Europe, London. Second, you need to specify the subnet ID. So here I'm just gonna go to my VPC setting, and here I'm just gonna copy this subnet and go to my Twingate account, and I'm just gonna paste the subnet ID over here. And once I have submitted this few information, you will find a command which is ready for you to use. So here, if you are using a Linux or a Mac OS, in my case, I'm using a Mac OS. I have a MacBook with me, so I can just simply execute this command from my terminal. But in case if you are using any other operating system, for example, if you are using Windows, then just choose the Windows version of a PowerShell instructions. So just copy this command and you just need to execute it from your PowerShell. But here in my case, I'm using the Mac OS, so I'm just going to copy this command from here. I'm just going to go to terminal and execute this instruction to deploy my connector. Before I deploy the connector, I would like to show you that there is no any existing connector which is running onto my AWS account. So here I'll just go to EC2, and here you can see there is no connector which is running at this moment. So again, so these are the instructions which I would copy again, and I'll just go to my terminal over here, and I simply need to paste that instruction over here and hit enter. And it will take a couple of minutes to deploy that connector. And as you can see, these are the instructions or the output which I got back. And if you can take a look over here, that it's good. If everything looks good, then you can just simply press Q from here, and your connector is getting deployed now. So now let's get back to our AWS console over here. So here is my AWS console. Just refresh that one. And here you can see our Twingate connector is deployed. And right now it is into running state. So now the connector is deployed onto the AWS side, so which is this side. So this is deployed onto our AWS side. Now we need to verify onto our Twingate side whether that connector status has changed to green or not. So let's go back and see over here. So here you can see our connector is now into green state. So if you see over here, there are a couple of things. So whenever you create a connector, so there are two connectors which you generally get from Twingate for high availability. So what do you mean by high availability? So if one connector is down, then you still have another connector to work with. So this is the name of my connector, which is Conflower Cock2. I'm not sure how the name should I pronounce, but anyway, this is the name of my connector. And if you see over here, the same connector is deployed with the same name. And the same instructions can be followed for other connector as well. So what I'll do, I'll just click on this connector. I'll just choose the same thing, and I'll just generate the token. I'll authenticate. I'll just go to my Google account, just sign in. And here I'm just gonna enter the region. So I'm just gonna use the region, which is our London region. And here I need to enter the subnet ID, so which I can also get it from here. It is the same subnet ID I'm just gonna use. So I'm just gonna paste that subnet ID over here. And after that, I just got the instructions. So I'll just copy this command, and I'll just go back to my terminal, and I'll just clear the screen. So what I'm doing is I'm just making ready my second connector as well for high availability. So I'll just paste the command over here, hit enter. And after that, I'm just gonna press Q. And I think I'll just go back to my AWS console, go to EC2 dashboard over here, refresh this one, and here you can see the two instances. So click on it, and here you can see both of my connectors are getting deployed. And now if you go back to your Twingate account over here, so after a couple of minutes, this status of that connector will go to green. And if you go back to your network settings, so both the connectors are deployed with your AWS account. Now, after deploying the connector, the one more thing which we need onto our laptop or our iPad or our iPhone or whatever device you're using is the client. So here you can see on the right hand or the left hand side of this screen is this Twingate client. So you need to install this Twingate client onto your machine, which can be your laptop, which can be your iPad, or which can be your mobile phone. So I'll show you like how you can install that Twingate client so that you will be able to communicate with your connector, which is running onto our cloud service, which is our AWS. All right, so to download the Twingate client, this is the link. I'll post the link of this website into the description section, and here are various download options which are available based on the Windows, Linux, Chrome, iOS or Android. So here since I'm using the Mac OS, so I will just click on this one and it will just download the package for you. And since I have already installed this Twingate client, so here you can see this is the open option which I'm getting over here. So I'm assuming that you have installed the Twingate client, and after installing the Twingate client you just need to click on open over here. And here you can see, I'll just minimize the other screen so that you can see. So this is the option which you will get once you open your Twingate client. So you just need to click on continue. Since I have already logged in over here, so that's why it is showing me a different option which shows like configured VPN. So I'm just going to click continue. But here, these are the options you will get. So here you can see this is the email through which I have registered. And as of now, you can see there are no resources. So I'll show you like how the resources are getting created. But the key thing over here is just download and install the client and just log into the client onto your machine, whatever the machine is it. Alright, so coming back to our dashboard of Twingate, so our connectors are running. The next thing which we need to do is we need to create a resources, and these resources are the control policy or the access control policy where we are just going to provide a granular access to our resources. So here, once these connectors are up and running, which you can see both are green, so just click on create resources over here, and here you will specify which resource on which you want to provide access. So for that, let's take a look onto our EC2 dashboard over here. So these are the two EC2 instances. So what I will do, I can create a new EC2 instance here as well as I can just provide the IP addresses of these EC2 instances. But let's for example assume that you want to create a new resources, and those resources you want to provide an access. So what I'll do, I'll just go over here and click on launch instances, and here I will type like a test EC2 instance for Twingate. Here I'll just type Ubuntu over here, and here I just need to select the instance type. So I'm just gonna choose T2 micro. I'm just gonna select the key pair. So here I think I can create a new key pair for this demo. So I'm just gonna put Twingate demo key pair. All right, click on create key pair, and after that I'll just edit the network setting. I'll just choose the VPC, which is the one where I have already deployed my connectors, and I need to choose the subnet. So this is the subnet I'm just going to choose. Auto assign public IP, so this is crucial. So I'm not going to assign any public IP to my EC2 instances or resources, because I want to isolate those resources from internet, so that I can only access it through this VPN zero trust network. So I'll disable this public IP over here, and after that I'll just keep everything as is. I'll just add one more security group, and here I'm just gonna add ICMP4 for ping, and I'll just allow it from everywhere. And yeah, and rest of the configuration will look as is. I'm just going to add one more thing over here. I just want to install certain packages into the user data section so that we can browse that URL or that particular page from our local laptop. I'll explain, don't worry about it. So here I'm just going to paste this script which is going to install the Apache 2, and once our EC2 instance is up and running, then we will be able to browse that Apache homepage. Okay, so everything looks good. I'm just going to click on launch instance over here, and here you can see our instance has been launched. And I'll just remove this one, and here you can see there are two Twingate connector. Along with that, I have one test EC2 instance which is running over there. So I'm just going to refresh it, and this instance state is still pending, but it will be green pretty soon. Okay, so here you can see the instance is into green state, and I'll just click on this instance ID. And the key thing which I'm interested over here is this private IP, which is this one. So as I told you, now we need to create a granular access to our resources. So this is the first resource which I have created inside my AWS, and I want to access this resource from my local laptop, from my iPad, and from my iPhone. Okay, so now we need to control this access. So I'm just going to copy this this IP address from here, go to our dashboard, and here I'm just going to paste the address, which is the IP address of my EC2 instance. And here I'm just going to name it. So I'm just going to put it, I'll just put the name, and then I can just put like EC2 instance test. And then I'm just going to click on create resource over here. And here I'm just going to allow access to everyone. So everyone, which means like which has those Twingate client installed onto their machine. So if they don't have that Twingate client installed and authenticated with that URL, which is rahul123wag.twingate.com, which you can see into the browser, they will not be able to access it. So now I'm allowing and granting the access to that particular resource. I'm just gonna click on grant access, and here you can see a resource has been created. And after creating of the resource, here you can see in the Twingate client, the resource is visible over here. It is the same resource which we have just created inside our Twingate dashboard. So now your Twingate client is able to recognize that particular resource, and our setup is up and running. Now, as you can see onto the diagram, so now my Twingate client connector is ready. My connector has been deployed over there, and also we have deployed our EC2 instance over here. So here one of my EC2 instance is also running along with my connector. And this EC2 instance is running into our private IP address. So it should not be accessible from outside of my AWS environment. But since this connectivity is established with the Zero Trust network, so from my laptop where I have already configured my Twingate client, it should be able to ping that EC2 instance. So to do that, what I'll do, I'll just jump back to my EC2 console, and here this is my private IP. So I'll just copy this IP and I'll try to perform the ping test over here. So here just write the ping command and paste the IP address, and here you can see I'm able to ping my EC2 instance with the private IP. And remember, this is a private IP, not a public IP. And I'll clear the screen. The next test which I would like to perform is to check the default page of my Apache 2 service which I have just installed. So what I can do, I can just run the curl command, and I'll just use the same ping command, and I'll just modify the ping command, and I'll just use it curl over here, and it should result me the default page of my Apache 2. Here you can see this is the page which I can see over here. And even the same thing, since I'm working on my local laptop, so this browser should be able to give us the default Apache page. Here you can see I'm able to access my instances from my AWS environment onto my local machine, and this is just a private connectivity established between the cloud service and my laptop. Alright, so this is my iPad, and the first thing which I'm just going to do, I'm just going to open the Twingate client. I'm just going to click on sign in to connect, click on continue, and here I'm just going to use my Google account, and I'm just going to sign in with my Google account through which I have created my Twingate account and a client. I have now been authenticated, and here you can see the Twingate client is connected to my resource which we have just created. Okay, so I'm just going to open the SSH client over here. So I'm just going to open this SSH client which I have just installed over here. I'm just going to connect to my local terminal over here, and here I'm just going to insert the command ping, and here I'm just going to paste the IP address and then hit enter. And here you can see we are able to ping our EC2 instance. So that's our first test which we did from our terminal. The next thing which I'm just going to test over here is by opening the browser. So let me open the browser, which is Chrome browser, and here I'm just going to paste the same IP address over here and hit enter. And here you can see this is the page, default home page of my Apache 2 which we have just installed, and I'm just testing this from my iPad. If you can see over here, so this is the iPad which I am using. Okay, so that's the first thing which we did. We tested our iPad. The next thing which we are going to test is from our iPhone. Alright, so this is my iPhone, and here I'm just going to open the app. Here I'm just going to first of all search for the app, which is Twingate. And here I'm just going to install the Twingate. open the Twingate, click on continue, and here I need to enter the name of my network. So I'm just gonna use 123 VOC and click on join network, allow VPN configuration. I'm just gonna allow it, authenticate it. After that, sign in to connect, click on continue, and here I'm just gonna use my Google account, select that account, click on continue. And here you can see, I'll just put the allow notification as well. And now you can see my EC2 instance resource is there. So now my Twingate client has been connected. The next thing which I'm just gonna do is to access my EC2 instance. And for that, I'm just gonna open the browser. Let me open the browser over here. So I'm just gonna open one more tab over here. Let's open this tab and enter the address. So here the address which I'm just gonna enter is 172.31.26.201 and hit enter. And here you can see the same page I'm able to access it from my iPhone as well. So this is how this whole Twingate setup works, and now my iPad, iPhone and my MacBook is connected. Alright, so now we have pretty much seen like how we can connect our MacBook, our iPad or our iPhone along with my Twingate connector and Twingate client to my AWS services. So we have pretty much covered this part. We have able to connect this MacBook, our iPad and as well as our iPhone. And here I'm able to access our EC2 instance and connector. So here our EC2 instance was there, which we just created over there. So everything is like working over here as a local area network. So this is how I use this Twingate client to set up my own local area network, and here I don't need to rely on any VPN services or any costly solution offered from a cloud services like a dedicated LAN network or dedicated network or site-to-site VPN. So those becomes really costly operations when I'm trying to set up this kind of a connectivity. So I hope this zero trust network along with the Twingate will help you to set up your own zero trust network for your home as well as for your corporate network.